So extended highlights then on the build-up towards the showdown on day 2 of ERWC 2 as we went racing in the Infinity Q50 around Interlagos after the technical issues the broadcast on the day. Redline were holding a 1-2 through the first corner after a fantastic qualifying from Enzo Bonito, and he'd hang on to the race lead through the first section. Marcel Cinchik was trying to keep them close company in the R8G car. Unfortunately, struggles for Williams would keep them towards the back. Not too much drama through 1, 2 and 3, but it certainly would arrive as the lap would continue here in the opener of day 2, heading up through this middle sector. There was an issue with Jerne Simičić getting down the inside of Gianmarco Verducci. Contact between the two. Gianmarco would go for a spin, take Jerne Simičić with him, and have a spin right in front of the entire mid-pack. Very scary indeed. They would get back going again, but right towards the rear end. Reina Talva having a couple of issues in the middle of the pack, as well as Williams all struggling their way. Up the run towards turn 4, that was where Reina Talva was sent off to the left-hand side. Fordzilla also with them, and it would drop them down the order. BS Competition, though, thankfully with cars up inside the top 10 with a couple up there. Redline taking a 1-2 across the line. Marcel Cinchik there in third, and it would be a 4th place for the third Team Redline car, looking very strong on day 2. The quarter-final upper bracket would get underway as we look for the top 3 teams to move their way straight through into the final, and once again it was a 1-2 for Team Redline on the grid. The race down through the first corner, BS Competition hanging on but holding up the entire pack behind. You got the third Team Redline car trying to work their way through, and eventually they would up through the final corner. It would be a Redline 1, 2, 3 because they'd worked up into that third position, taking a very dominant race victory in the quarterfinal upper bracket to move straight through into the final, dragging themselves along with BS Competition and R8G after strong results. For Unicorns of Love, Veloce and Triton, it was a move through into the semi-finals. Redline dominant towards the line. They would cross very close, but no switches between them. Onto the quarter-final lower bracket, and it was Yaz Heat starting first and second, and it was the fight for survival as the top 3 teams would move through into the semi-finals, and the bottom 3 teams would be knocked out of the competition altogether. Into that first corner, not too many dramas as the front pack were heading their way through, but the race down towards turn 4, it would really kick off. Williams sent off straight into the barrier, into the middle of the pack. Arnage Competition also being beaten up and all of that, and Apex having a mare as well. Very scary indeed as they would rejoin straight ahead of them. Not what some teams would call ideal. Team Fordzilla also having a couple of issues, and then there was another one with Burst being sent off by Apex. Then there was Apex contact as they were heading through the central section. It was not what we wanted to see. Unfortunately though, they were all fighting for survival, and this is not how Apex would survive. Guile Valero somehow doing a 360 on the run down towards turn 1, doing an enormous spin and not collecting anyone. Fordzilla also having a couple of issues in the background. Got Yazzie versus Apex versus Burst versus a couple of Fordzillas, and this is where things got very scary indeed. Contact as we were heading into this right-hander, as we had Sean Arnold go straight on and then rejoin right there into the middle of the pack. Very unfortunate for Fordzilla, who would be sent around. Same with Burst, and unfortunately for them it might have been a way out. Fordzilla and Williams and Arnage being knocked out as we head on to the semi-final. This was where, again, 3 teams would work their way through into the final, and it was Unicorns of Love in a decent position up inside the top 10, along with Triton and Yazzie at the start of the race, but contact through the first corner, and Triton being sent around ahead of the entirety of the pack, Veloce being bitten quite hard from all of that, and Triton being sent round to the back. The cluster would continue all their way through turn 3 also, as Yazzie took another visit to the barrier, out onto the run down towards turn 4. Everything had calmed down ever so slightly. For Unicorns of Love, a 1st and a 5th would be enough to progress their way into the final. Veloce had managed to keep their nose clean outside of that first lap, and they would be the 2nd team to progress, along with Burst. Also, Triton, Apex and Yaz Heat would be the ones to be knocked out after a victory for Unicorns of Love. Onto the final though after this, and it was back to seeing who would go into the showdown. The top 2 teams, amazingly, we got a BS Competition onto the front row after an incredible qualifying lap. Marcel Cinchik though with the best start to the race, with the run down towards the first corner, getting a bit elbows out. It was all about that red line domination. There was contact into the first corner, Gianmarco Verducci being sent on, Unicorns of Love being sent around ahead of all 3 of the Burst Esports cars who had to skip their way over, as Marcel Cinchik would take victory for R8G, but it was Team Redline and BS Competition moving through to the showdown.
9999% sure the Team Redline are going to take the victory. They've got 1 corner to go. Kevin Siggy, Enzo Bonito Kevin Siggy did not have a good first race, but he's actually going to end up winning the second race, and that's just going to show the strength of Redline. They've got 3 drivers that are capable of winning at any one time. Kevin Siggy will bring them across the line. He will pick up a victory. Bonito is going to push him across the line as well. Team Redline are going to take victory here on rFactor 2 in the ERWC II Day 2 final, and they're going to tie the championship lead with Unicorns of Love, taking us into the iRacing Day tomorrow. Incredible stuff here, but Redline are dominating once again.